Unit 5, the National Economy. Chapter 13, Economic Performance. The gross domestic product, or GDP, measures the market value of all final goods and services produced in a country during a given period. Usually this period is a year. GDP includes productions carried out by foreign firms in the United States. An example of this would be a Japanese auto manufacturing plant in Kentucky. GDP can be used to track the same economy over time. It can also be used to compare different economies. There is 3 types of production the GDP neglects: illegal productions, household productions, and underground economy. Illegal productions include all things that are banned by the government. Products that are banned would include products that are harmful for the environment or to the people. GDP ignores childcare, meal preparations, house cleaning, and house repairs. Almost all home productions are ignored, which understates the actual production in economies. This is when families produce more for themselves than the market does. The GDP also ignores production in the underground economy, which includes activity that goes unreported either because it's illegal or those who are involved want to evade taxes. The underground economy is also called the black market or the working off the books. 3 reasons why production tends to increase is because increases in the amount and quality of resources, especially labor and capital. 2, because there's better technology, and improvements in the rules of the game that facilitate production and exchange, such as property rights, patent laws, legal systems, and customs of the market. There are 3 economic indicators: leading indicators, coincident indicators, and lagging indicators. Leading economic indicators are measures that usually predict or lead to recessions or expansions. For example, months before a recession begins, changes in leading economic indicators point to a coming storm. In the early stages of a recession, business slows, orders of construction and machinery slip, and the stock market anticipates lower profits and turndowns. Leading indicators cannot predict precisely when a turning point will occur or even whether one will occur. Sometimes the leading indicators sound a false alarm. Some economic indicators measure what's going on in the economy right now. Coincident economic indicators are those measures that reflect peaks as they happen. There are 4 coincident indicators combined into the Index of Coincident Indicators, including total employment, personal income, and industrial production. Some economic indicators measure what has already happened. Lagging economic indicators follow or trail changes in overall economic activity that has happened in the past. There are 7 economic measures combined into the Index of Lagging Indicators, including the interest rate, measures of loans outstanding, and the average duration of unemployment. Chapter 14, Economic Growth. Labor productivity is the output per unit of labor. It measures total output divided by hours of labor employed to produce that product. Productivity compares total output to a specific measure of input. This usually reflects an average expressing total output divided by the amount of resources employed, such as bushels of grain per an acre of farmland. There are 2 kinds of changes in capitals that can improve worker productivity. Number 1 is an increase in the quantity of the capital per worker, and 2, an improvement in the quality of the capital per worker, as reflected by the technological change. An increase in the quantity and quality of capital per worker is called capital deepening. Capital deepening contributes to labor productivity and to economic growth. With capital deepening, over time, more output per worker translates into more output per person, meaning a higher standard of living. Chapter 15: Economic Challenges. There are four main types of unemployment: frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, seasonal unemployment, and cyclical unemployment. The time required to bring together labor suppliers and labor demanders creates frictional unemployment. Frictional unemployment does not usually last long and results in better matchups between workers and jobs. The entire economy becomes more efficient. Structural unemployment results when a job seeker does not have the skills demanded. Structural unemployment poses more of a problem than frictional unemployment because the unemployed may need to retrain to develop the skills required for the job. Unemployment caused by seasonal changes in labor demand during the year is called seasonal unemployment. During cold winter months, for example, demand for farmhands, lifeguards, and construction workers shrink. Workers in these seasonal jobs know they will probably be unemployed in the off-season. Some may have even chosen a seasonal occupation to comply with their lifestyle or academic schedule. For example, high school students choose to be lifeguards during the summer, knowing they'll be off during the winter months. As output declines during recessions, firms reduce their demand for inputs, including labor. Cyclical unemployment is increase in unemployment caused by the recession phase in a business's cycle. Cyclical unemployment increases during recessions and decreases during expansions. Inflation is an increase in the economy's average price level. Inflation reduces the value of money and is usually measured on an annual basis. The annual inflation rate is the percentage increased in the price level from one year to the next. The three main types of inflation are hyperinflation, disinflation, and deflation. Hyperinflation is extremely high inflation. A reduction in the rate of inflation is disinflation, and a decrease in the price level is called deflation. There is two types of sources of inflation. The first is demand pull inflation. Inflation resulting from an increase in aggregated demand is often called demand pull-up inflation. In such cases, a rightward shift of the aggregate demand curve pulls up the price level. Inflation stemming from decreases in aggregate supply is called cost push-up inflation, suggesting that increases in the cost of production push up the price level. If the price level increases and the real GDP decreases, this is a combination of stagflation.